Welcome to Commerce Media Matters, your go-to podcast for unpacking the world of commerce media. Here, we catch up with industry leaders on news, research, insights, perspectives, and everything in between.
Hi, I'm Paul, the Director of E-commerce and Commercial Data at News Corp Australia.
And hi, I'm Nick. I am founder and CEO at Voodoo, a commerce media category-defining software company in the ad tech space.
I like to call him Chief Visionary.
That's because you are very smart. Welcome back.
2025, it's here.
24 gone.
Are we pumped?
I am excited. I'm somewhat rested. Bit going on over the break, as you're aware. But I reckon it's going to be a big year. There's going to be a lot of things happening this year.
I couldn't agree more. The space is going to explode.
You look well rested.
Thank you.
Are you rested? Are you though?
Can you ever be rested?
Can you ever be? Especially when you move so fast like we do.
That's right. Kids, is it really a holiday when you got... No, I love my kids. I had a great time.
Oh, yes, it's been a long break. No, it's good to be back. I had a fabulous time. We're going to get stuck into it, right? I've got the hair. You asked me to get the hair out. You're referring to me as the young Dave Grohl. I'll take that.
Those locks.
I'm wearing your T-shirt.
Yep.
We know that you would love to move there and just live in San Francisco permanently because you're a big AI data man.
Well, it's the center of AI. And
exactly.
Is that the segue to the first point we think in terms of our predictions? Do we just naturally arrive at that?
We can jump straight into it. Why don't I just say we're going to cover off what we think is going to happen ahead. We're both visionary. We both love knowing what we think is going to happen. We love reading patterns, reading the play, and we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We're going to put our finger in the air and go, yep, we think that's going down.
Let's do it.
Now, you have been talking to me at length throughout this year about what is coming down the line with commerce and AI, specifically commerce media, obviously within AI. We are seeing, and I'll gladly tell the audience that you called it back in February. And you said, you know what's this going to be? You're going to have large language models and you're going to have the platforms and they're not going to be able to shop inside there. And then bang, what do we see recently? Perplexity. So I don't know if I'm the visionary. I think you're the visionary, Paul.
Oh, look, maybe it wasn't that hard to read the play. Maybe everyone else saw it as well. But yeah, I think we're definitely going to see the year of AI-powered commerce. I think, AI is going to do so much to change the way that users interact with technology. I think Apple Intelligence is a big change. And I think, whilst, OpenAI and Amazon and Microsoft and Gemini or Google, they're all rapidly moving forward in this space as well. What I think is interesting about Apple with Apple Intelligence is they're going to democratize it for the everyday person, not the early adopter on AI. I like to say, like my 78-year-old mum, she's going to be using...
Our mums.
That's right. She's going to be using AI on her device and not really realizing that she's using it.
Yeah.
She's just going to get to a point where, she can type in a description of an emoji she wants. She's a massive over emoji user. I think anyone over the age of 75 that's got a mobile phone just...
You're not a big emoji man. You're a minimal emoji man.
Look, there's a time and a place. But now she's going to be able to literally type in a description of anything that's in her mind, and it's going to spit out a personalized emoji. And I think whilst that doesn't seem that significant, it seems like a bit of a parlor trick. The expectations of users being able to type in, prompt what they want and get that answer back on the screen in front of them without having to search is a real game changer.
Yeah, it is a game changer because what you're seeing is, again, we're seeing an evolution of consumer and user experience, right? We're seeing an expectation that, is going to be driven or set by AI, which is you search a certain way, you ask a certain question, you don't just get options, you're getting the answer. And like you say, the only next logical step for a consumer is action.
That's right. If you're getting the answer on screen, you're not searching, not going on the journey to discover anymore like you were when you're going into Google and searching through a list of websites. AI is doing all that heavy lifting for you and surfacing the answer on screen. And with Apple Intelligence, which I was harping back to, because it's all happening locally on the device with all of your preferences and behaviors that are personal to you, it's giving you a personalized recommendation. So yeah, the only natural next step is, well, you've given me the answer. how do I action this answer?
Super powerful.
And I think that's going to have huge opportunities in the world of commerce, right?
Yeah.
If you're sitting there and you've asked the AI a couple of questions to get to your, product, does it suit me? Do people like me recommend this product? And you're able to have that conversation with the AI on the device, then you're going to be able to move from, interested in discovering about the product to answering all the questions to then wanting to be able to make the purchase. And I think it's a bold new world out there.
Yeah. I think of it, and I've kind of alluded to this just before. I see a radical shift in conversion optimization and conversion pathways. That behavior that consumers, work towards and know where they put in their search, they're provided with options, and there is an expectation within those consumers to say, now I'm going on a journey.
Yep.
Started my search criteria. I've drilled that. Now I'm going to go on my consumer journey further. Now, where am I going? Where's it taking me to consume, to shop, to check out? Now, if you are radically changing the way that consumers are going to shop at the start of their journey, you're going to have to address that latter part of their journey as well, or you're going to create experiences or subpar expectations of those consumers. Was what you've gone and done is you've actually optimized the initial journey and you've left an archaic further journey. So I think there's going to be some really interesting things that happen with regards to radically shortening that pathway and providing actions.
Yep.
Right? Because you can imagine, right? You're going to get really frustrated consumers who are now at the point like, yeah, that's the pen that I wanted to buy for my dad for his birthday. Now click through here and go here, and now I'm presented with something else. And where am I now? Actually, I did want a pair of, board shorts for my surfing holiday. Oh, pen gone. So we're going to really see a change.
I agree. And I think this is a big prediction, and I'm happy to be sitting here this time next year and saying, whoops, I got it wrong. But I think Apple sees it so clearly with their partnership with OpenAI that, they've quietly launched their DSP in the background, and they don't go into industries unless they think they can dominate or win. So they're taking big steps into the advertising ecosystem. And maybe it's because they think they've disintermediated search, because all these answers are happening on the device, native in Apple's iOS.
The time to move for them is now.
100%. And like you said, if the answer's there, the next step is going to be action. And there's great technologies. Your technology, the Voodoo technology, there's plenty of people playing in the space. You mentioned Perplexity with Shop Pro, but there's, maybe 20, 30 different agents out there that are personal shopper agents. You saw Rufus from Amazon. I mean, these guys know a little bit about shopping, Amazon.
A little bit, yeah.
And you see Bezos invested in Perplexity, but also back in his business day to day now. He's been quoted as saying, I'm back in, I'm working heavily on AI.
Big shift, right?
Yeah, that's him coming back after stepping away. He's back in there working out what they do with AI, and they're making some big calls with personal shopping. And obviously he's got all that infrastructure behind him with Amazon. And so I think it's an interesting space.
So let's just, let's spill the tea or have a gossip for the moment. Is he back under the cover of I'm working on AI, or is he back for AI?
Maybe it's a little from column A, a little from column B. I mean, I think the Amazon team were widely criticized for missing the early AI development and bubble and not having a clear AI strategy. You saw late last year, they put $8 billion of investment into AI. He's personally invested in Perplexity. They are certainly gearing up. I think he's back for AI because I think it's the next big arms race between all the tech titans.
I think you're right.
And possibly even, with regards to Trump coming in, he's taking the guardrails off AI. He wants America to be the leader in AI. And there's possibly an arms race between continents and countries,
What other country would be interested in dominating AI? I can't think of one.
I knew commerce media was going to go deep this year, but I didn't know that we were going to have a geopolitical podcast. I mean,
we're going deep, and we're getting it early. January is supposed to be a nice, relaxing time.
We're bringing in the Russians. We're bringing in the Chinese. It's an arms race.
I never said Russians. I never said don't know. I never said I'd ever mentioned anyone.
I think it is. I think it'll be an arms race in AI. And like we said, to sum up around Apple Intelligence and what we were saying before, and not just Apple Intelligence, but all AI, with that prompt and answer response, user expectations are going to expect that when they interact with technology now, they get the answer they're looking for based on their personal preferences. And then, my big call, like you were saying, is then the expectation for them with that answer in front of them is action. They're going to want to action. And therefore, there's some great opportunities for different type of media models and commerce models, and the entire ecosystem can move with AI.
Yeah. And the players who are aware of it, understand it, who are brave enough to really throw all of themselves into it, not just carve out deals like, yeah, we're partnering with these guys, that really need to shift and throw themselves at it. I think you're going to see some big winners come out of this. There's already some publishers that are looking at doing some really interesting things and that just have a very particular vision of AI. There's two in Europe that I can think of. If we think about where this time next year, looking back, doing a wrap up of 2025, there's going to be some real players and it's going to be some big things transpire. And I think we're going to see a proliferation of this inspired by, by creative and shopping at the point of inspiration. This is, to me, is almost a missing link because a lot of the capability is there, but now you're going to be able to complete those journeys with just immediate action, right? Action immediate.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So look, you and I could talk for hours on that. We've only got so much time, and we are going to talk about this all year.
So strap yourselves in.
We're going to struggle not to open up a podcast. I'm not going, you're talking about AI and commerce and action immediate and actions.
We may have already scared all our listeners off if they're bored of that topic, but I don't think it's a topic you can get bored of. Obviously AI is going to power a lot of instant commerce, a lot of personal shopping, change in user experience. And I think, we've had a big year for retail media this year, but I think if we look at what everyone's calling retail media 2.0, the next evolution, there's a whole heap happening in that space too, right? And there's a whole heap of the players that made some big moves this year that looking ahead are in interesting positions.
The retail media networks are in a formidable position. They have challenges. Their growth is starting to slow on site. They've monetized everything that they can. And let's say there's a lot of debate around, the retail media network, the value of the market, 60, 70, 80% of that's all sponsored ads on, Amazon. There's just arguments for that. But what we're seeing now is retail media networks saying, well, we've got a really great model. We've got a really great way of our brands and advertisers buying directly through us. What else can we sell them? What other inventory can we unlock? And that's what we're seeing a lot of interest at a global level. What other inventory? And the space is going to be offsite. So it's really this offsite media conversation, which is now bubbled right up. Offsite media will grow 2 times the rate of onsite media.
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic opportunity for retail media networks, but it comes with challenges that they're not currently experiencing, and primarily around margin erosion, right? That's something they're really going to have to tackle.
Yeah.
So I think what we're seeing, and talking to good friends at McKinsey, we're looking at options and different strategies and different technologies to be able to mitigate that erosion. And one of the best ways to do it is to offer a premium product, offer a premium format, offer premium creative format.
Yep.
The creative formats are going to be a really big thing, more involved, more engaged, more interactive, more shoppable. That is going to be a prominent play this year for retail media's networks for their offsite play.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. That's my big prediction. Your offsite media and your creative platforms are going to go through the roof.
Well, I think it's the convergence, right? And whether it's being driven by the retail medias looking for the opportunity or the marketer wanting to coordinate their entire media mix with retail media in the mix. And you've got traditional partners that have sort of been in the space like Criteo that are making some really interesting strategic alignments with Microsoft and, order management systems and other things like that. We've seen a lot of other different partnerships. You guys announced your partnership with Initiative Media Worldwide. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in 2025 in the retail media space. We're going to see people working out, like technology players partnering with retailers to help bring the convergence of traditional media and retail media together as one. And I've been preaching this for a long time. All of that needs to be underpinned by, great collaborative data capabilities. And so you're going to see LiveRamp
Mm.
and the technologies that they've developed and clean room solutions now that people finally understand the use case
Yeah.
for clean rooms, allowing that defragmentation. Is that a word? Did I just make a word up? Defragmentation?
I like it. Let's go with it.
Let's do it. But you're going to see this, the technology allow, you to pull off network media together with that, retail media canvas and coordinate an entire campaign that goes from, that top of the funnel piece that retail media networks are missing a little bit at the moment,
Yeah.
all the way down to what they're really good at, which is driving that transaction once they're on their
Absolutely.
owned operated assets.
And, I agree wholeheartedly. If you were just hearing this for the first time and maybe you had a little bit of education, you might say, wow, there's a great opportunity. There's a missing piece here. There's a great opportunity for the retail media networks to move into CTV,
Mm-hmm.
commerce TV. CTV is a big space where a lot of the ad dollars are going.
Mm.
If you weren't an educated person, you weren't obsessed like we are, you'd already know that one of the biggest players in the market has seen that 12 months ago or so.
Yep.
And they're already planning for that. You're seeing Walmart acquiring Vizio is your offsite CTV play. And they blew everybody out of the water and goes, that is a game changer. We're going to see that come to life now. You're going to see CTV lean into retail media. You're going to see agencies be able to do the whole thing and wrap it up. And it's going to be an explosion of shopping capability across CTV. They're going to meet the market on how they access it, but you're going to see really seamless shopping experiences, and retail media is going to eat it up.
Yep.
They're going to see that as a premium format. They're going to say, that's how we actually stop our erosion of our margin. We want to be in that space. Look what Walmart did. We're doing it too.
Yep, absolutely. And the technology's there to help that all happen, right? Like I was
Absolutely.
talking to you about, the YouTube experience on a big screen and with your mobile is actually a pretty fantastic experience.
Seamless. You could even argue it's seamless, right? It's so good.
You can see an ad on in the middle of your YouTube content, and you can click to send it to your device on the big screen at home. You then flicked it to your device. You see it personally. You can save it for later. And once it's on your device, then you've got Apple Pay if you're an Apple, or Android Pay, and you can shop right from that personalized device. Commerce TV, I mean, it's the big one.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And consumers want it. Consumers want it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to shop like this. We don't want to get dragged around everywhere. We just want to be able to shop and go back to our show.
Without disrupting the content.
No, I don't want to let you, but I really want it. And my attention span now is so minimal. I want that. I want it now. But just, I'm really into this dialogue. I'm really into this. Let me go back to this. Or I'm reading this article. I'm doing this. I don't want to be shopping as it is now. I don't want to do it. Consumers don't want to do it. Like, you and I aren't inventing the wheel here. We're not, groundbreaking, people changing the internet. They've already been doing it. TikTok kicked that off in 2016. And now we're seeing these behaviors now spread across consumers. And like you said before, we're going to see a real convergence in 2025. I think so too. I think it's going to be really interesting.
I mean, the consumers want it. The QR code on a TVC is not a great experience.
No.
I think we can all agree. But clients are having some success with QR codes on TV. I was surprised to see a couple of campaigns and the data attached to them actually getting their phones out. And the Val Morgan guys were talking about in cinema ads with the QR code and the direct response they're able to get from there. So the consumer's there with that second screen ready to go. I just think that in 2025, we might see a better UX than a QR code. And then you're going to get that personalized shopping experience on your phone whilst you're watching the big screen. And that's what we're going to call commerce TV.
I think you're right. I think what we're going to see when that breaks ground and we see, QR codes basically put to the side and we move past that, that's when commerce TV really kicks into shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when it happens. So I think that's it's a very exciting time in 2025.
Another big trend I think that we're going to see, we heard from several of our podcasts earlier this year around the importance that content plays
and creativity
in driving e-commerce outcome. And you can't just stick an ad out there and expect to, like a branding ad, and expect to elicit a commerce response. In 2025, people get, with the technology coming online, you'll see, the creativity come back to the fore.
Well, I think my prediction, Paul.
Here we go. Ready? Do we need some silence? Let's get some silence. Ready? Go. Shh. Go.
I think what you're going to see this year is some really interesting technologies help bring the importance of creativity back to the fore via AI. I think what you're going to see is a proliferation of technologies that allow for advertisers and their partners and their brands and agencies and publishers to be able to say, hey, this is the creative we want to use, this is how we want to use it, and have AI guide them and either point them in the right direction, provide them advice. How how can that be a better creative experience? What does it need? What does that creative need to be for at this juncture of this experience for the consumer? Should it be more of this or less of that? And we're going to be AI is going to help uncover that. You're going to see that explode this year.
I couldn't agree more. Late last year, News Corp had their AI week where it was around really getting into all the different AI tools for the newsrooms, handing them over to the creative storytellers and letting them play around with what they can create. And instead of being scared of these tools that are going to replace journalism, in fact, these tools create better efficiencies, which means they can do bigger, better stories, more creativity. You talk about adding animation and timelines of events when they're telling investigative journalism stories, the interactivity in real time with the story. These sorts of things are all powered by AI. And I think we're going to see these tools used by great creatives. I think David Droger even said it at last year's Cannes, that if you're not embracing AI as tools for further creativity, then you're not reading the room. These tools aren't going to replace creatives. They're going to enhance them.
The really forward-thinking creatives themselves and practitioners who can adapt to this and be frank about how they're using it, they're the ones that are going to win.
Well, if you look at some of the core advantages of using AI and creativity, it's personalization, and that can only be a good thing if we're talking about product recommendations and commerce, right? Like if you're using the AI and it's understanding who Nick Morgan is and that Nick Morgan needs a hat to make sure his long locks stay back out of his face.
Work hard at this.
They're going to recommend great hats for Nick. And I think, using the power of that to tell stories is going to be, maybe that was a bit of an obscure example.
Do you think my hair can tell stories? My wife thinks so. She thinks that unruly.
Just don't cut it off. I believe that it's where you get your power from, just like Samson.
That's where I get my power from.
Yeah.
It's all in the locks.
Yep.
Locks, you never know. I might come back and call you to a haircut.
Yep.
In February. You never know.
Yep.
All right. So let's keep moving forward.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing before we do move forward. I think sample size of one, but again, back to AI week.
Mm-hmm.
When we were demonstrating to the business at News Corp some of the tools that you could use, and this is not terribly creative, but what was really surprising for me, who by no stretch of the imagination am I ever saying that I'm an expert in developing or AI or a content creator, but for effect, I was able to create what I called Black as AI, which was a AI version of myself, looked like me, spoke like me. It was very scary. And what was really interesting about that is that it didn't take any development experience. Like, I'm not a developer, and I was able to create some really cool content. And
democratization, right?
Correct. And then you think about applying that to great content creators that already do this for a living, and what, influencer talent and sporting talent could do with those sorts of things, and how much more they could do and how effective they could be with their time to get far better creative strategies out there into the ecosystem. I think we're going to see a lot of that. And then the natural step from there is influencer commerce, which I think is another place that you'll see AI help them with the tools to then, for influencers, people like me, people I look up to, be recommending products. And then hopefully there's money in the ecosystem for everybody for that.
Yep, you're bang on.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to the consumer. So I think we're going to see this trend of consumer-centric advertising. We're seeing it already with the platforms offering, shopping in their space. Meta has been experimenting with WhatsApp and Instagram and, providing that sort of, personal recommendation, that AI chatbot recommendation. You've seen Amazon with Alexa bring that in. You've seen all these companies, seeing TikTok do it. This sort of personalized commerce capability that sits within in these platforms. And I think, very consumer centric, right? The algorithms are recommending things. It's consumer centric because it's seamless. I mean, how many times have I been caught out buying something I don't need when I'm scrolling through Instagram pretty board and the right ad goes and it's something about running because I'm interested in running, and the next thing I've clicked and I've purchased, and that user experience is so slick.
Here's a question for you. We know that part of the strength of TikTok is they have TikTok Shop, and essentially TikTok controls the checkout, the merchant, everything. That's coming down the line for, say, AI and stuff like that. But are we going to see 2025 the year? We know that Meta has been dabbling with Amazon in this space. Pinterest has been in some really deep conversations and has got some really exciting things happening with Amazon, allowing Amazon consumers to shop on their platforms. Is 2025 the year that we see the consumers being met in these spaces and that those platforms really move into a seamless shopping experience within their channels? Are we ever going to see Instagram not open up a browser to a checkout, or we are going to see a time? Will 2025 be that year, or is it too soon yet to Instagram say, hey, we're going to do what TikTok does? We're going to have our own merchant capabilities now. We're going to control that because we believe it's a better consumer experience for all of our audiences, because it is. So is 2025 the year we're going to see more of that? Potentially, if we want to focus on what's right for the consumers, seeing inspiration to shop, browse, then open up a browser, then go through. It can't actually pull through any credit cards because it's stored on your device and doesn't pull through, and then it's inside the app and you got to move. That's a clunky experience, but the intent is really strong from shopping. You remove all the complexities and the friction points of that conversion pathway by putting a direct checkout capability inside Instagram. Bang.
I mean, that's just what it's all about, right? The consumer expectation is, because they've seen it, if they've come across it, they know that they can see, look, find out information and buy all in the same experience now. And that's only going to accelerate. So I think, there'll be the tech platforms, like you said, that'll want to control the entire experience. I think there'll be those out there that are willing to partner and share in that experience, as long as you can meet that consumer expectation of the experience and match. Like, it's going to be hard to match these platforms when they control, the algorithm, they control the entire platform, and they can make it seamless.
No doubt.
But I think there's also room for those that are going to partner, like the Klarnas of the world and the Voodoos of the world and Amazon, anywhere, and those sorts of products that will allow other platforms to have that seamless experience. It's about shopping anywhere, right? I mean, I think that's going to be the user expectation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But what I love, and we've seen this time and time again from many of the companies, and Apple plays this card very, very well. And no better than say the US that they've been the best at this, and we're seeing other regions and jurisdictions do this really well now too, especially with likes of what's coming out of China. But the argument that we have to do what's best for the consumer, we have to put the consumer first, we have to put our audiences first, can be a very strong, simple argument that can potentially unseat many partnerships.
Yep.
If you've got a large shopping tech stack that has a relationship with a social platform, and their relationship is to open up the browser and serve that tech stack and let them check out, because that checkout is the best, and that's working really well. But company over here says, yeah, but we want to just take a little bit more of that purchase. And to take a little bit more of that purchase, we need to actually control the purchase. And to control the purchase, we need to have our own merchants or our checkout. That sounds like, to me, the best experience for the consumer is to change the whole dynamic of how that consumers are shopping on that social platform and keep them inside that feed and allow them to check out right there in the feed. It's going to be pose some really interesting partnership conversations at a global level, right? Because they're going to put the consumer first, right?
I agree. And it's not just the tech platforms. What we're going to see is, and I think Pippa Leary has spoken about this, it's for premium publishers, it's not just about reach, it's about engaged reach, she calls it. And, premium publishers are getting off the the social media or search referral drug, and they are going after their direct audiences. And once they get those audiences, they're looking at ways to continue to engage them and keep them on site. And I think it's no different in the tech platforms. And so I think, when you search out the content you're looking for on the chosen platform, and your chosen platform might be news.com.au, your chosen platform might be TikTok, and you might even look at news.com.au content in TikTok. But I think all the platforms, all the publishers out there are going to want to look to drive engagement, and therefore offer these experiences that are frictionless shopping that keep them within the platform, but don't disrupt their content journey. Same that we talked about CTV before. Some of the problems with shoppable CTV at the moment is it's a disruptive experience. When can we get to a point when you're watching, some content and you can second screen off the content from your big screen to your mobile without disrupting the cricket while you're watching it? I mean, it's the summer of cricket.
Of course.
Sportsman, got to get a plug in there somewhere. Whatever platform you're on, whether it's streaming video platforms or it's a social media platform, it's a premium publisher platform, I think everybody is going to want to play that game around engagement, and therefore this opportunity to convert and not distract from their content experience is going to be critical.
Agreed. I think totally agree. And Pippa is right. It's about engage reached. It's about how we engage our audience, whatever that content might be, whether it's premium publisher, whether it's user-generated content, right? It's about what is the type of engagement that we want to deliver that's best for our audience and our consumers. And I think that argument about putting the consumer first, really, really putting the consumer first, is going to unseat and create some existing partnerships, some existing norms, and we're going to see some disruption. Might be a bit early for 2025, but we'll see the start of it in 2025. There's going to be some really interesting changes the way that consumers shop, and it's going to come down to some big partnerships shifting. That's my prediction.
Well, I think it's a great, strong position, and I know we weren't going to make this podcast all about AI, and our producers have even gone, you've flogged the AI horse.
We'll get in trouble again. It's AI bingo.
But I really think that's going to be a major driver, this conversational experience that you can have by, continuing to ask questions and get a response is where you're going to see that engagement come to life, right? All these tools are there for the consumer, for the brand they trust, whether it's news.com.au or it's Spotify or whatever. Once you're in that platform, these sorts of technologies are going to allow you to have that conversational relationship, ask it questions and get a response. And therefore the engagements is going to come up and up and up.
But again, Apple Intelligence will drive that consumer behavior. Consumers will not want to go back. The expectation will be based on a seamless, delightful, incredible experience, asking Siri whatever you want to know, and you're getting anything that's interacting with your device, your personal preferences. It's giving you there's no restriction saying this is what I found from the web. It's a seamless, intelligent experience. Consumers will take that expectation and they'll go, right, now I'm in a different environment with a different set technology and a different set of content, or maybe on a website, maybe there's an ad. Can I behave the same way? Can I act the same way? So the consumer's expectation is going to radically shift. And that's all going to be about them moving throughout into 2025.
I think the other thing that you're going to see, and again, enabled by the ability of large language processing, you're going to see better attribution and measurement opportunities because you're going to be able to plug in all the data sets. You're going to be able to plug in all the data sets, right? And particularly if you've got great partnerships with, you've got the airlines, with a hotel, with a car rental company, and those three partnerships. I mean, the amount of data you can put in there, and they have the large language models crunch the data for some really interesting insights, and really start to understand where you can improve your business, where you should be spending your time. I think that's why you're going to use these tools, and I think measurement and attribution is a word that was on everybody's lips at every conference last year in 2024, that's where they were spending their time.
Attribution. Look, it's one of the challenges and the opportunities with CTV, right? Attribution. How can we How can we ensure that our dollars and our ROAS right there is delivering, and tools that can deliver on attribution, tools that can deliver on measurement. It's the flip side to what People Leary News Corp says, right? It's that you've got an engaged reach, but we need to be able to measure that clearly, right? And very easily. We need to know exactly how we've engaged them and report on the value back to our customers. And that's the measurement and attribution on the other side of engagement. Very, very important. Very important.
That's right. So, look, I think it's a massive year ahead of us. Some big topics. It's probably the year of conversational commerce brought on by AI for me. That's my big tip for you all. And mix that with the measurement attribution capabilities that you're going to be able to do by crunching the sheer amount of data that can now be enabled through those data partnerships between retail media and offsite media. I think it's going to be a massive year ahead for the commerce media space because, like we were saying,
no doubt,
the user expectation is going to change. The answer is going to be given to them on screen. And what are they going to look for? What they want to do next? They want to action. And I think that's what we're going to see next year. The action is the commerce media outcome.
We've talked a lot about AI. Let's move into something a little bit out there. Maybe something on the fringe, some fringe predictions. I know that we like to play around this. We've seen some really interesting stuff over the last, say, 12 months. What are you seeing, Paul? What are you seeing on the fringes of commerce media?
I mean, we talked about personalized shopping, but after seeing the Tesla robot, I mean, are we going to get to a point where we send out our personal shopper and it's literally like the Jetsons?
How far are we? Surely 2025 isn't the year that Tesla's going to be doing a deal with telcos and I'm going to be able to sign up to Telstra and I'll get the robot in my home, but I only have to pay a monthly and I'm on a 2-year deal. That's how you're going to get it, right?
100%.
And as soon as you get that, every single house will have one. Because if I want to sit in the banana lounge and have someone go and cook the kids dinner, sign me up. Is that $12.99 a month? I'm in. I'm done.
Is this how we see Terminator?
Yes.
Is this how Terminator starts?
Every single house is going to have a Terminator.
We all jump in wanting, like, I've got a RoboVac already, and it's amazing. Like, I was mopping my floors while I was getting ready this morning. It was amazing. I was ticking off a chore whilst getting ready. We're saying we've got a personalized Tesla robot shopper that's gone and got the shopping and started the meals for us. Then does Skynet we're going too far. We're going too far.
I genuinely believe my long-term prediction and I think 2025, it's a long way to say it's going to happen, but I genuinely believe we will come to a time in the very near future where you'll be choosing what type of butler-type robot assistants you'll want at home, whether it'll be Tesla, whether it'll be this one, that one. The models are there. The technology is not far away. It'll be a revolutionary game changer for global households. That's going to be coming. Well, we see a sniff of that this year, probably a little bit, but a bit soon. Well, I want to talk about something a little bit closer to say, maybe reality. I genuinely think the robot it's a reality. It's a done deal for me. But I think what we're going to see is the concept of commerce media evolve. We're already seeing some organizations are moving away from retail media being the banner of, or the sign above the door, to commerce media, and commerce media being its kind of catch-all. We know that's been talked about for a few years. We're going to see more of that this year. But what that's going to unlock is we're going to see the thought around connecting audiences via networks and then monetizing those audiences. One of the things that I became aware of last year is a really interesting startup out of West Australia, Windboard, that are doing some really interesting things with connecting screens. And we're going to see where there is a convergence of humans on a regular capacity, say going to work, going to a site, going to a mine site, going to a building site, where we can connect those audiences together via a network and then be able to monetize that network. You're going to see commerce media take a left turn. Commerce media is going to be encompassing the most strange, most innovative, interesting way that we can connect humans. If you can connect humans together in something where you can deliver a message and measure it, bang, you have a commerce media network. This year, we're going to see more airlines like we saw last year with United Airlines connective product, which was amazing. We're going to see the next airline and the next airline and the next airline. But you're going to see really...
And the next bank.
We
talked about the bank earlier as well.
You're going to see a proliferation of commerce media networks that you weren't even expecting, because there's really interesting stuff happening in some really, really far out places. And I'm talking about mine sites, connect the mine sites, connect all the fridges inside, the screens on the fridges that all the FIFOs are flying in and out and spending 2 weeks on. Bang, you've got a network. There's going to be really interesting stuff happen this year as we broaden the term of what is commerce media and what is a commerce media network.
I mean, maybe it's not a far out prediction to offset my robots are coming one up front, and it's definitely less sexy. But I do predict that next year we'll see governments really lean into policing privacy, but also as a subset of that, which is even more important, putting the guardrails around AI. Because I think, that personal information play, we've seen how, hotly contested it was this year in Australia. We've seen how it's turned into protecting, under 16s around content experiences that under 16s can get on social media. And I think, with these new tools, I think there's going to have to be some guardrails and some government intervention. So maybe my big prediction that's pretty far out there is that governments might actually start to have to understand this stuff.
Are we going to see those awesome Congress takes where they pull up the tech founder or the billionaire and start drilling them in AI? Are we going to see some more of those type that we've seen in the past when it comes to data? I hope not. I hope the government really leans in.
But if we're talking American governments, which side is Elon going to be on? Is he going to be the one doing the questions or getting questions? Because isn't he part of Trump's administration now? So it'll be interesting to see.
Paul, grab your popcorn. 2025, from the moment that inauguration kicks off, the second it starts, the US is on.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be some really interesting things. So grab your popcorn. I'm excited. I'm excited for the rest of January. I'm excited to get to the beach. I'm excited to get to the cricket. And I'm excited to see what happens the rest of this year. But no doubt it's going to be a great show.
Let's get into it. 2025, guys. Let's smash it out.
Let's do it.
Thank you for listening to the Commerce Media Matters podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and subscribe. We're always on the pulse of the ever-changing landscape of commerce media, ready to share the newest trends, insightful perspectives, and expert opinions with you. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep making media that matters. This podcast is executively produced and edited by Priya Tahazadeh, with co-producers Sandy Ho, Meg Lirish, and me, Rachel Fang. This podcast is recorded on the lands of the Bidjigal, Gadigal, and Wurundjeri people, and we wish to acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land.